Welcome to NatureServe's Data Use Training. This 4-part tutorial is designed for NatureServe clients who will have access to precise species location information under the terms of a data license agreement. The reason this training is being provided is that there are various types of sensitivities around the use and interpretation of data on the location of species. This training is aimed at helping users understand how to properly use and interpret the data, as well as understand the context in which this data is being developed. At any time within a segment, you can use the controls at the bottom of the screen to go back or pause the segment. You can take each segment of the training separately, but please set aside enough time to finish an entire segment once you've started it. If you do need to close a segment midway, it will not remember where you were when you left off. In this course, you will learn the basics about NatureServe and the data we provide, information that will help you understand and effectively use the data you receive under your data sharing or data license agreement. As you see on the screen, the 4 tutorial segments run from 15 to 35 minutes long. Segment 1 is a brief introduction to NatureServe and NatureServe data. Segment 2 focuses on the methods for prioritizing and mapping species and ecosystems. Segment 3 focuses on the methods for assessing the status and viability of species and ecosystems. And Segment 4 gives you an overview of species data sensitivity issues and how data license agreements help protect sensitive species. Although the methods we present generally apply to ecosystem data, we will focus our materials and examples on species data. At the end of each segment of this training, there will be a brief quiz about the material covered. You must take all the quizzes. Upon successful completion of all 4 segments of this training, including completion of the quizzes, you will be sent an email that will provide a link to your organization's data license agreement. Once you review and indicate that you have read and understand the terms of the agreement, you will be automatically registered as a certified data user. So let's get started. Segment 1, Introduction to NatureServe. NatureServe is a network of independent member programs called Natural Heritage Programs or Conservation Data Centers that collect and manage data about plants, animals, and ecological communities using standardized methodology. From the establishment of the first Natural Heritage Program in 1974, our network has grown to encompass most of the Western Hemisphere, including programs in all U.S. states, all Canadian provinces and territories, and in many countries in Central and South America, as indicated on the map in green. Our sister organization, NatureServe Canada, is a separate nonprofit that supports our work in Canada in collaboration with the Canadian member programs. NatureServe, NatureServe Canada, and our member programs employ ecologists, botanists, zoologists, data specialists, planners, and analysts to accomplish our work. Most of our member programs are housed within agencies of states, provinces, or territories, but many are affiliated with universities as well. NatureServe has a long history of accomplishing its mission to provide the scientific basis for effective conservation action. Through our work, the questions we look at include: what species and habitats exist? Where are these species and ecosystems found? How are they doing? What is their conservation status? What actions might help conserve these species and habitats? And we look at whether or not the selected actions are working. We have information on over 77,000 North American species, including vascular and non-vascular plants, all vertebrates, and many invertebrate groups, and we are continually developing information for thousands of vegetation communities and ecosystems for North, Central, and South America, as well as areas in Asia and Africa. We only track detailed species location information for imperiled and vulnerable species, invasive species, and exemplary vegetation communities. Biologists in these programs have been conducting inventories for over 40 years. In addition to ongoing fieldwork, each program aggregates data from herbaria, museums, and many other sources into a standard data format. Although they are independent, each of the member programs within our network follow common scientific standards that allow us to integrate information across jurisdictional boundaries. NatureServe updates and integrates this information together, resulting in the most comprehensive, cohesive, and comparable data set for species and ecosystems for the U.S. and Canada. One result of this is that the NatureServe network maintains a database with almost 1 million mapped locations of at-risk species. Data from across the network is aggregated and analyzed with other expert input to determine the level of imperilment. We use a 1 to 5 scale, with 1 being critically imperiled and 5 being widespread, abundant, and secure. The level of imperilment is assessed for species and ecosystems at global and subnational scales. This slide is showing the Global Status Assessment Ranks, or G ranks. This ranking process will be covered in more detail in the next segment of our training. NatureServe strives to make as much of our data publicly available as possible in collaboration with our member programs. Some examples of this include off-the-shelf data sets like our species by county and watershed data, an interactive database of species and ecosystem data called NatureServe Explorer, a new online system called NatureServe Surveyor that allows the user to draw a polygon and get information back on the species occurring within that area. And lastly, Landscope America that allows the user to visualize and explore our data with other conservation data layers. Our data is used by experts within our own network as well as by external organizations and agencies to generate many types of assessments and analyses at regional, national, and global scales, as well as the state, provincial, and territory scale. New challenges result in the need for new types of scientific data. For example, we are now evaluating the vulnerability of species to climate change via the Climate Change Vulnerability Index, developing predictive distribution maps for the most imperiled species, and using an ecological integrity assessment method for evaluating the effectiveness of conservation actions. We will not review these types of information during this training, but if you are interested in finding out more, please visit natureserve.org or email us at productsandservices@natureserve.org. You will find that NatureServe data is being used to guide many kinds of decision-making processes, from environmental compliance to resource management planning to industry certifications to large-scale land use planning, decisions being made at local, state, provincial, and territorial scales, as well as national and international scales. Hopefully you now understand the context and drivers under which NatureServe data is being developed and utilized. The remainder of the tutorial content will focus on information about precise species data for which you will be certified to use. You have successfully completed the first segment of NatureServe's data use training, an introduction to NatureServe. Next, please click on the Take the Quiz link for the Segment 1 tutorial on the tutorial webpage. The quiz includes questions on the material that was just covered. You must take this quiz to earn credit for completing this segment of the training and move on to Segment 2 of this training.